Hello, I am Kourosh Mahdavi, and this is our 6th session of SolidWorks. Hopefully, this virus story will end soon, so we can be present to serve you. Well, let's start the 6th session, where we will work on the drawing section together. But first, we need to model something that we can bring into the drawing environment. I have a related lamp in mind, so with your permission, let's start working on it. I'm entering the sketch environment, and I want to use loft for the bottom part, so I will create a few lines. You see, we always start with a sketch. If the curves are accurate, we can then provide the relations and the desired dimensions. I think it would be good for him to give the corners a fillet before I finish the operation, because when we apply a fillet in the feature environment, it might not be exactly what we want. Initially, I will fillet the corners of these few edges that are not like this. 20 millimeters. Okay, I will confirm this habit. Now let's create a page above it. For the geometry, I think a distance of 50 will be good, so we confirm 50. I select it and create a sketch. Now, regarding this fillet, I think a circle would be good. The size should be around 140. Now let's test to see how the shape turns out. I will hide this plane I created so it doesn't obstruct my view. I click on loft, and now from the tree diagram, I will select these to ensure that their start and end points are aligned. I select the normal option for the start, so it comes up from the vertical position and hits this circle. It's not bad, but I think the upper circle is a bit too large. I'll go edit it. We can edit it anytime we want. For example, let's set 140 to 120. Now the shape has become more interesting, and in my opinion, more attractive. Now, there are some tools available. I hope to use them more. I mentioned the side a bit more. Now, the insert feature is here, and since I use it a lot, I have set up a shortcut for it. It creates a dome shape. This elliptical shape, when you turn it on, brings it to a state as if someone is coming into the Maya of Momas. After this happens, I haven't exactly made this form in Momas, but I didn't mind it, so I chose to go for that curved shape that will be our related lamp. Well, I need to draw a path. I want to use sweep. In fact, why did I choose this related lamp? I want to create a related lamp that utilizes all the main tools we've learned so far, like loft, sweep, extrude, and revolve. Here, I can also use spline, and I can use this arc that starts in the shape of Momas and goes up. I won't just combine the two together in Momas. It's completely a part of a section of a circle. Well, let's also give the desired dimensions, 140 and 350. I can finish my work now, but I left this part open so that when I complete my work, I can check it and see if it's not good, allowing me to easily change it. I think it's fine. Now, we don't need to provide these dimensions anymore, so if we want, we can edit them later. I'm coming out of the sketch and moving on to the sweep. Well, I didn't prepare this at all. I don't need to, because I want it to be circular, so I'm using the Silcora profile. I select the entire sketch Its thickness is 30 in a circular shape, but I think 20 would be better. I will use the merge option as it is always set to default on. So, we started from the bottom and see that these two are combined into one piece. If I had turned off the merge option, this pipe would have been separate, and the lower piece would have been separate as well, since both are supposed to be solid. Therefore, I merged them so that they are one piece, and it didn't matter where I started from. Now I want to create a shape that resembles a tube, which is a bit more natural. We can bend this pipe, but I need a center line because I want to use the revolve cut to cut a part of it into a cylindrical shape. This has been connected, and I want to close these. If I want to make this vertical, I can select the center point by right-clicking. I want to align this vertically so that it is in a straight line. Now I don't want to fully define its size to avoid taking your time. I will select the revolve cut. This means to rotate around this axis to add or reduce something. This is how it should look. Now we have learned about linear patterns and circular patterns, but none of them are useful here. In the subcategory of patterns, you can see that the fourth option is the pattern. It says here to choose your path, and I will select the same sketch I used in the sweep. It's just that now it's facing down. I will change it to face up, and you will see that this line follows us automatically. However, if we want our pattern to follow the same path, we need to click on the tangent option. The number of them is up to us if add a dent every 10 millimeters. Or as I say, add a dent every 5 millimeters. This way, the spacing is very compressed. The computer insurance says it depends on your configuration. The configuration of the computer also provides the necessary specifications, not Windows. There are about 50 of such forms. It looks like a sink drain, but it doesn't have the same capacity. Whether the tool is used or not, let's move on to the fact that I want to create a page here that is perpendicular to this page. I need to have a centella here for reference. Now that I want to create a new page, I can say this face reference is again this line, which is in a default perpendicular state, and it gives me a perpendicular page to the one I am working on. Now, why did I create this page? I want to create a loop in this new page I made, a loop that has some distance from the end of our pipe. I now realize that the angle of our hose or our cut is not good. I really want to pull it back a bit. Now, let me return to my work and hide this plank so I don't bother you. Don't forget, you shouldn't delete it. Okay, I'll lift the center and bring it up to place it here so that it is tangent and actually aligned with the coordinate center. This position isn't bad. Let's give it a dimension of 90. I want it to have a ring shape, so I will use the offset from this circle. I will click to offset it. Let's say 5, but that's too much. 2.5 is better. I will go inward so that when I want to extrude it, it will be the surface of the ring. I will use the direction to extrude it from both sides to the same distance. We haven't done much other than placing this ring on the plane. Now, since this plane is flat, I will select it and draw a sketch on it. We draw a circle and then I draw a slightly larger one to make its shape a bit more attractive. I extrude it, and now I can click up to next, because that is another body that sticks to it this way. Or you can even click up to surface and then tell it to reach this surface. All of this is possible. If we remove the merge option, it won't stick together. But if the merge option is checked, this hose will reach this ring and connect. Well, it turned out to be an interesting ring, and I think the holder should be the part where the lamp is placed. To draw it, I want to use a reward. The front plane passes exactly through the middle of this product. First, I want to draw a center line from this end to this end, which should appear in the middle for us. The hub that is going to rotate this shape. I will keep the line a little away from the corner of this ring because I don't want it to be completely fixed, so it can rotate a bit. Yes, I think this will be good. From that side, you can even draw a line twice or 3 times if they are in the same direction in the operations you want to perform with the feature. Even if it doesn't make much difference to the feature, we can draw this curved part using a spline, or we can use our arc here. I drew this first, and I will do it one more time. Of course, the fact that the spline goes back is something you will see, that it always tries to maintain a tangent state in front or the same tangent condition of our work. Well, if you use this arc, it has another advantage, that you can give it a smart dimension, unlike the pillars that are now not selectable. But right now, here is a half arch that we will address. This is 22, and this is 40. Well, I want to draw a line. I was just showing the alignment of the line. I will follow that. Then we will go back to using this arc again, and I will draw a shape like this here. Well, that has become completely tangent. Now, here it cannot show a perpendicular state to each other. I will draw a line vertically and create this center line, and now I will say that this and this center line should be tangent to each other, and we will attach this to it. Well, you see, the highlighted area means that our entire sketch is closed and ready for rotation. Now the design is just for reference. I'm going to hit the reward button. Yes. Now the merge option will also turn off. It wouldn't have made a difference if it was on. You set the distance, and it prepared such a form for us. So far it's okay. I'm just using the shell to empty this. In the shell it takes a page, or if we select that page it removes it, and then empties it. The thickness was the same 5 that I put on it. So far, the form has turned out to be quite interesting. Now, let's add a little detail to the project, like here. I can't create a hole here that will eventually allow us to connect this ring with these caps using screws. I quickly drew 2 center lines to find the middle point here, and now we move on to the circle. Let's create a circle with a diameter of 5 so that we can extrude it. We will extrude cut it from both sides in a true extrude cut manner, so that whatever is in front of it will create a hole for us. This detail can make our work look more professional and attractive, especially now that we have entered the rendering section. You can also use the tree diagram or right-click on the object and hit the eye icon. When you have multiple bodies, I deleted the top one, actually hid it, which we shouldn't do, so that I want to see that lower part with more focus, and then we could also add a micro switch button to it. In our top view, I think starting with a rectangular shape from the center wouldn't be bad. Now, let's make it so that it becomes hidden. For now, let's quickly get our work started without complicating things. I want to extrude cut this rectangle that I drew. The bottom page is there, so I can say to start from this top page and come down. It's better to work with a number. For example, start with a size of 10 and reduce it by 10 millimeters for me, so that a space is created here. Now, I will select this page and say that I want to draw a sketch. Let's go and create it with this button. I want to create some diagrams that are usually found in older electrical devices, like the cooler switch, where we want to turn it on and off. I don't know what they call it, but it's definitely not exactly like this. I'm saying this because we are going through educational stages separately, and you don't really focus on these details much. I'll put a form like this here. Yes, let's add a little bit to make it look more natural. The distance to this corner is 0.5 millimeter. First, I'll take this vertical relation to make it completely vertical. By vertical, I mean the two are relative to each other, and the distance between them is 0.5 millimeter. The other one is 29, and we can't measure it anymore. Then, it was completely correct for the center of this to align with 1 in a vertical line. Let's play around with these a bit. I think I won't bring this down to the end, because, for example, the micro switch is supposed to be placed down there, so that when we press the button, it will be okay. Here, instead of setting it to the blind mode, I will set it to the offset mode right from the start, meaning to the point where you begin from our page. Offset it by 0.5 millimeter from the front, and this part is also offset from surface, meaning it should reach this surface, but with a 0.5 millimeter gap. You see, there is a 0.5 millimeter distance. If I reverse it, it will extend 0.5 millimeter from that. This is a method you can use when you don't know the dimensions, so it has a relative distance to that. Well, you have the option to work for 20 minutes and save your part. Let's name this light. Now, I feel like it's a bit too much. Let's adjust it a little. For example, this should be aligned, and let's make this smaller. For example, make it a little narrower. Because we related them to each other, we see that everything got smaller, and it sped up my work. Let's also give it a little fillet around it, to make its shape look nicer. They mistakenly selected that one, which is very good. It's not bad to also take care of the corners now. I think it wouldn't hurt. Since there were 4 of them, I selected them one by one myself. Now, let's put a button on this side as well. I'll use this shortcut to select it more broadly. A 0.5 millimeter fillet is also fine. Well, it's already closed. Let's have a button here too. So how is it? In fact, we can draw icons, we can type, we can create sketch texts. No, this reminds me to allow you to teach this in a way. In the section view that you saw above, I can use this state. I haven't cut the top part. I've just rounded it so that I can focus on my work here more easily. The section view option that you saw above, let's write here for example. Let's say it should be good. Now while we want to place the power icon, it takes time. This rotation here rotates the character. Do you understand? So now I will select it to place it here. And we can also make it a bit smaller. We can give it units and points. I think the number 8 is good for it. It's very good. To rotate this 90 degrees, kids, here's a point. When we are in text mode, this rotate entities does not respond to us. And now see that I am rotating this, but my text did not rotate. I have a very quick method for you to use Modify Sketch, because I work with it a lot. I put it here. It should probably be in Sketch Tools, not in Entities, under Tools. Yes, you can see Modify here. You can click on it. Now, I have set my shortcut there, and this will rotate the entire sketch by 90 degrees for us. It applies a -90 to the previous one, and I press Enter for another -90. Then, I easily rotate the whole assembly and bring it here. Once we're done, I click close and check it. Even here, we can understand this again and move it. I think it's okay and in order. Let's give a small cut of 2500. Let's continue. Well, I don't need this bio section anymore. Okay, let's add a fillet at the bottom to make its shape more attractive and higher. Now 10 is a bit too much. 7 millimeters. Should be fine. Alright, let's hide that part as well. It's about time to decide whether I should split this or not. This is a very strange reality that has come out. I think there should be a base, a ring of something at the beginning, and then this hose shape should come out. I want to use a center line from the rival. I also need a rectangle because I want to merge the whole thing together, so I don't need to be too precise. I think a rectangle like this would be good. Let's create it. I want to keep this center line visible while merging, but just with the upper part so that it doesn't merge with that. By the way, what's the difference between a fillet and a chamfer? The fillet rounds the edges. Let's see what it looks like. No, it turned out a bit strange. Just think. The beauty is in simplicity, right? I think it's good. To pay attention now, I'm going to the front page, and I'll draw a few lines. I'll draw the first line on this base because I want to isolate the sole from the body and split it into two parts with a distance of 12 units. Here, I want to draw a line upwards from this rectangle I created, which I will later use for the split to separate these from each other. The rest of you are okay with the split. I had already set the shortcut for it. I will use the previous cut with the design. Now it says that I have identified these and I click on the ones I want to cut. Make sure the Cut Bodies option is not enabled. This tick is a consume option. If you don't have it enabled, it will hide these extra lines. Now you can see that it has turned into 5 bodies, which are now 5 buttons. This body at the bottom is our soul, and this is the state of our work so far. In my opinion, having 5 pieces is good to take into the drawing. Let's also practice something together. We have an isolate that temporarily hides all the other components. I will loosen this and adjust it to a size of 2 millimeters. No, I think that's a bit thick. That little bit is really too little. Maybe 1.5. I can see that isolate down there. And whenever I hit exit, it goes away until I come back here to apply the isolate again to fix this part. Well, let's make a 1.5 here. As well, just leave that bottom surface and select this top one too, so that it is solid. Now, these two should be removed, and in the meantime, make it hollow to a thickness of 1.5, which is excellent. Now, why did I do this? Well, it's because these are supposed to fit together somehow. This is the part where the main body should be placed, and of course a micro switch needs to be installed underneath it so that when we press that button it works. If we want to go into a lot of details, I need to create 2 grooves here so that, for example, it can be a 30-degree angle or whatever function we want it to serve. There is a connection between this environment and that inner environment, which now includes the kit or electrical components we are working with, and we need to position them together. I have provided such an extrude cut here in this way, and let's move on to the action I wanted to perform. In the lower section, remember that its thickness is 1.5. Now I will select the edge and say I want to create a sketch. The sketch I want to draw will be offset by this amount. I will apply the offset again and select this line exactly. Let's set the size to 7500. I think half of it should be fine. I want to extrude cut something like this, going down by 1 millimeter. Now I'll explain why I'm doing this. The goal here is to create a step-like feature. They will perform the same operation on the upper piece. But instead of extrude cutting, I want to extrude so that these 2 parts fit on top of each other. Well, the page is selected, and we use the sketch. I used the same previous sketch because the position is exactly the same. I clicked on Convert to link this one, and I will also select the smaller one to create a ring-like shape. I want it to come down by 1 millimeter, and with this I will hit merge, but I want it to merge only with this body. We created a gap between them. We see that inside our operation we should have also included a tolerance, which I haven't written down. We don't want to build it so that we can place it in relation to the front page with this section view. Let's hit the section view for a moment and check it. Yes, we see that a step has been created completely. Now we have been a bit impatient. The edges are also rough, but it doesn't have an Iranian touch. And of course, let's add some barriers so that when it goes inside, it makes a sound and doesn't come out. Now we don't want to go into details any further. I think this is enough for now. Let's save it so we don't forget. In the SolidWorks folder, we see that we need to click on Save As. There are no incorrect characters in their halves. Honestly, this is a bit annoying for everyone. Let me use this page. It will be a bit repetitive this way. We haven't used the circular pattern yet. Of course, we have a command that creates holes in the back in an organized manner. But I don't want to tell you about it now. We will use it in the surface lesson. I will create this circle. Kids, when your center is not the centroid, you need to be patient and perform the clicks carefully. I placed this point as a reference. Now I will say, in relation to this, look at the top. What we want to repeat is, the center around which we want to rotate. This entity to pattern is actually the object we want to rotate around. This way, we won't give the command from the centroid anymore, but from this new point that I wanted. We will export these 6 circles to that side while letting a bit of air pass through here. I think everything is ready for us to go and use it. Just think, yes, there are no extra characters in the sky. It's better to change the name of the body this week, so that I know this body is the cap of this body, based on, for example, the hose conditions you want to set. But right now, we are not doing these tasks. Let's go to the folder. I'll save it again. Right-click on the Solid Bodies folder and select Save Bodies. I click on this floppy and it selects everything for me. I also want to save it separately from here. It will create an assembly for me. I open a new folder, choose a name, and go ahead. Well, the name of the folder appears here as Lighting Assembly Save. Now we must definitely check the green tick so that the operation we wanted to perform here is completed. The shadow here has become two-eyed. Why is this shadow so problematic? Very well, we saved each part, one by one with our heads. In fact, we saved the body so that they become separate parts in the tree diagram. I will press the Control tab to bring back this assembly file here. Yes, we see that. I briefly came to my desktop to check something concise, and now there is no problem. It's fine now. Well, more importantly, a new one. Let's open it. This time I go to Drawing, and it says to select your desired sheet. I say I want the easy sheet format, and now I'll tell you what the story of this sheet format is. I want to bring in the same file with the PDB to show how much and where it is and in what form. If I click and drag left and right, it should give me different views. I press Escape to exit the command. The line you see there has come up, but it will be fixed later, so don't pay attention to it. In the second tab, I select the balloon to apply ballooning to these. Each piece is seen separately, and it automatically gives me different outputs because it knows these are another body. If I place this button better in line, it will look a bit nicer. If I click on text, I can use any number or text I want. Its shape is circular, either 2-character or 3-character. So, if this air is larger for us, It could be, for example, square, polygonal, or yes, usually a circle. We know in the view layout. I click on the model, view and browse to bring up one by one the files that I have saved. This has somewhat scaled its size. Custom 1/5, which is large, and 1/10, which I brought here for this site roll. Here I have style to show the hidden lines, as we need to do this in our roll. Now, enough of that assembly. I haven't set the first view and the second view. With every click I make, the mouse and right click actually take me to the view where the mouse is pointing. I repeat this operation again. There is a button to fifth again, which is very small. Want to set this one to 1 as an exception, but definitely later. I will mention that I sketched this for someone who is going to read my plan. We will also include 3 views of this. Some models do not need 3 views. 2 views are enough. If I show the left and right views or the top and bottom together. Now, if these are not there, it's not bad. The next model here, if we had named them correctly, I would know in order which one to bring up one by one. Now their names are still the default, like X-axis cut. I don't know. X-axis cut, dimension 5. Well, this is our base piece. I really wanted to place this base piece right next to the other piece, so I will put this here. Now, let me take a corner of this piece to understand that it actually moves. I will also take its other views and place them temporarily here. I will fix this one in its place, for example, to make it look like this. Let's move on to the next model, number 6. Well, there's a point here. So, first of all, this sketch is correct. From here we can rotate it. The rotation is here on the map, but I don't know what size it should be. I wish that when I created that hose mode, I had set a rounded number so that I could give it the exact same degree now. Now I have to adjust the number through trial and error. I just want to finish quickly, since your video is getting long. I hope you don't lose track. Well, I think 28 is good for this. Now that it came in a single piece, if we want to add the views now, I will click on the project view, and then click on the part. I will move the mouse up and down again like before. Let me place this exactly in line with the upper part, so that the map looks a bit more presentable. Let's go to the last file, which is this base. You can keep in mind that it might be a bit tricky here with the initial view we want to bring in. We can specify from which view to start and where to place it. I think it should be good to have it here. Later, this button keeps moving around. The other views have become very useful for my work, but we can use the half-section model view. Let's place the buttons here. I need to select a specific shape so that I can move it. I've kept it down here on the bottom right. Now I'll tell you what I want to do. I press the Smart DAI button to activate it. You can see this sketch here because we set a shortcut for it. Now, regarding the dimensions I have in mind, some of the dimensions cannot be selected for me to measure, but I can modify them myself. For example, this small piece we gave it was half. If I don't do this here, I set it to 1 millimeter down. Yes, from here to here. There are 2 sections that don't need to be controlled. Just select them. For instance, you see these at the bottom. They are in one piece and cannot be selected, but this circle is okay. You see, this one has been written into the other one. Let's adjust this so that the upper one goes up and this one comes down, so they align nicely. We shouldn't start the map too much. You can use any size you see elsewhere. We can help and select one of these circles. I think that's enough for this. Let's move on, and this one has come down a lot, distorting our lower shape. They mention the necessary dimensions, and it's good to find and see any size you want in it. Now, to avoid starting too much, sometimes you can use other views. For example, if this is 12, then that program is definitely 10, so there's no need to give 10. We use these tricks. Look at these corners. If they can't be selected, we can also use a little trick ourselves. Just like in this sketch environment we have here, I can use the 3-point arc down here, the first point, the second point, and the third point are the way I draw my arc. Now, the arc that I drew is definitely measurable, so that I can inform the specialist who will review my map that this size is also here. Let's input the dimensions here and move on to the next model. On this tablet there is a pill-like shape that, when used, provides measurements at a specific distance that is the default for the side brush. However, it doesn't always work effectively. For instance, I modified it and raised it higher, but now it has become too angled and is not useful for my work. However, I can measure from one point to another, for example, 1 month 65. I can also give another measurement that is clearly defined. I use this one from the top because it is evident that these are the same size. For the total height, for example, we can give it here. We don't need to see the next piece. For instance, I'm using this circle, and I want to measure from here to here. The circle itself automatically adds a bit higher. Now I can also use it manually. If I cancel, I can press escape and it will come back. We can click on it, which is commonly referred to as rapid. I think it was added from version 16 onwards, and it has functionality that we can use. On the side, we can see the checkbox, and we can uncheck it so that it doesn't exist. The same thing happens here again. The truss were not selectable because of the rotations I made. Due to the rotation issue, I left it in the same crooked model lay. Now this has become an experience where we can measure. For example, you see that these circles are not perfectly centered. They are slightly off when viewed from above. The amount that is circular is definitely there, but you can't see it. I will draw a schematic circle here. Yes, this time I want to teach you another trick. The circle that was drawn now needs dimensions. Well, I remember this was 14 months ago, and now the circle I drew is incorrect. Here, we need to check the override value box and set any size we want. For example, 5 to 6 or any other limit. This is a student task where we can correct any mistakes in the drawing and its dimensions. I will use a balloon. I will place a balloon in the empty space here. I double-click to switch from the item RAM number to the text saying this part is 5. I hold down the control key and click on it, understanding that I can make a copy of it very quickly. I can place this as number 3. Number 1 should be there. Yes. In this way, I keep understanding that I can take a copy of it and then assign a new code to it. Of course, this is not a standard coding format. We don't want to teach you that. I just put a number here so that when you see the complete assembly, you know which code belongs to which part. For example, I know that this is number 2. I can use it here. Very good. I also write a note here. For example, scale 1. Our entire sheet is, for instance, 1/5. This one is an exception. It has become 1/2. In fact, whatever we have, we can write those drawings for that note. This is our section view. If you want to create a part or make a section cut, you can do that, but there are really cuts. In the drafting lesson, whether you have studied it or are studying it now, or maybe you will never study it, I want you to see the techniques that have been applied here. It should be in this direction. I have drawn a lot of lines next to each other. Let me move on to another part. I can adjust it up and down. Now let me select another piece. Even these do not necessarily need a section, but we use sections when we want to explain something to the person who is drafting for us or to the client, whatever we call them. For example, I will create a section from here and bring this section down. Let's organize these in section 1 a bit better and place them here. I can bring this down lower. It will also be a single piece. Now, we can move it around. We can use the detail view when there are some very small, complicated points in one place. Here, I can draw a circle and the detail view will draw the circle itself. Now let me ask, what should the scale of detail C be? How about 3/5, 4/5, 4/5? I made this part a bit larger. I will also bring this section B a little closer. I think it's visible here. It has been hatched, and we can adjust these hatches to control their density or fill. Now, we will explain these to you again when we have the chance. I just want you to get a general idea. The drawing will be saved separately, kids. This drawing is just a code. If you want to send your drawing to someone, you must send your files with it. It's better to zip it so that the file is included, allowing them to upload everything for you. Let me take an exploded view of this. We talked about it in the last session. Let's bring these parts down one by one. I will click down to lower it. Well, look at this. If I want to move it like this, it won't be aligned correctly, and it's not exactly what I want. I can click on that direction option and do it this way. It becomes clear that it wants to move along the axis of this circle or ring. You can use this trick for the exploded view. Now I want to take a snapshot of this assembly again and place it in the light assembly. I also have another file here because I want to include this in my drawing. Well, yeah, I think it's okay to control the tab. So why doesn't it generate that my friend doesn't care about the view lighting model? The assembly explosion is open here. I bring the isometric view and place it here to see what it looks like, or it can be in shaded mode. It's up to us. How should it be here? The scale has become a bit too large. Oh no, it got too big. Now, 1/5 is good. It should be in such a way that you don't show it to each other. But this isometric view, for example, didn't work for me. If we want to have a custom view here, for instance, I like this view. Here we click on the telescope, and at the top there's a new option. I click on New View and choose a name for it, like New View as it is. Okay. Now what is this useful for? For example, I wanted that view. I rotate it, and I can do other things. I can bring that view back by clicking on the telescope again and selecting that option. And it brings that view back for me. In a way, it has saved the view. Here you can also see that our new view mode is ready, and from now on I can choose it. For example, I will use it here. Here, for example, I use it. Some people perform these coding tasks right in this exploded view. This is solely to ensure that the audience reading your role has a better visual understanding of each part. The code is dear in this form, which is all about that. The event tomorrow is specified, but if it happens to be a bit more polished and nice, we can take a safe from our drawing. So, what should we do for printing? What should we do for printing? I'm going to show you the safe because we can't send the drawing outside for painting. We have both PDF and JPEG formats, as well as PSD. For Illustrator, I can show you everything on the JPEG, even in the options. I even lowered the quality, but now it doesn't matter. We'll save it one more time. For example, we'll set one to print capture, and for the PDF, we'll set it to CSET. Let's take one OK and save it. Just hit the second half. I would have said 1 more minute with the PDF format, although I mistakenly put it on the wrong settings and made a decisive error. But it doesn't matter. I will tell you now that I always. In the end, however, I save as PSD. Saving as JPEG is not something that satisfies me. The first one is completely unacceptable, while the other one, which we captured in print, is better but still has its own issues. If we input the information, it might improve, but to me, PDF is always the best option, because it has a vector-like quality and is no longer pixelated. It has very good quality and is excellent for printing. Thank you for your hard work. For the next session, please choose a product that has exactly 4 to 5 parts. The more challenging it is for you, the better your skills will improve. I recommend using Loft and Sweep to make it easier for you. Now, for the modeling you have done, you can fully draw in the part environment like I do, and then save it. But make sure to save it correctly. If you are working very precisely and it's not a problem for you, you can model part by part separately and then assemble it yourself. And finally, make sure to get a technical drawing from it. You definitely need to use an exploded view like mine in your technical drawing so that it exists. Also, make sure to get a safe PDF of the entire collection. Beautify it and send it to me for review. Thank you very much, and I hope this has been helpful for your work. Until the next session, see you in the next video. Goodbye.